My reading notes for The Fifth Agreement, a practical guide to self-mastery, a Toltec wisdom book. Truth or fiction? The third agreement, don't make assumptions. The truth doesn't need to prove itself. It exists whether we believe in it or not. Lies only exist if we create them, and they only survive if we believe in them. Lies are just a distortion of the word, a distortion of the meaning of a message, and that distortion is in the reflection, the human mind. Lies aren't real, they're our creation, but we give them life and make them real in the virtual reality of our mind. As artists, we're always distorting the truth with symbols, but that's not the problem. As we said before, the problem is when we believe that distortion, because some lies are innocent, and others are deadly. If we don't believe the lie, no problem. If we believe the lie and try to impose that lie on other people, it can lead to what we call evil. Of course, what we call evil has many levels, depending on our personal power. Remember, our dream is controlled by what we believe, and what we believe could be truth, or could be fiction. The truth leads us to our authenticity, to happiness. Lies lead us to limitations in our lives, to suffering and drama. Whoever believes in truth, lives in heaven. Whoever believes in lies, sooner or later lives in hell. We don't have to die to go to heaven or hell. It's obvious that lies have been running every show in our head. Humans create the lies, and then the lies control the humans. One of the biggest lies we hear at the present time is, nobody's perfect. It's a great excuse for our behavior, and almost everybody agrees. But is it true? On the contrary, every human in this world is perfect, but we've been hearing this lie since we were children, and as a consequence, we keep judging ourselves against an image of perfection. The truth is that everything in creation is perfect, including the humans. Only perfection exists, and that awareness is another important step in our evolution. To say otherwise is not to have the awareness of what we are, and it's not enough to say that we're perfect. We need to believe that we're perfect. Just imagine if humans from 7 or 8 centuries in the future could see what most of us believe about ourselves today. The way that most of us relate to our own body is still barbarian, though not as much as 700 years ago. Our body is completely loyal to us, but we judge our body and abuse our body. We treat it as if it's the enemy when it's our ally. Our society places a lot of importance on being attractive according to the images we see in the media, on television, in movies, in fashion magazines. If we believe that we are not attractive enough according to these images, then we believe a lie, and we are using the word against ourselves, against the truth. What is the truth and what is the lie? Once again, awareness is so important, because the truth doesn't come with words, with knowledge. But lies do, and there are billions of lies. We ignore the truth or we just don't see the truth. When we are domesticated, we accumulate a lot of knowledge, and all that knowledge is just like a wall of fog that doesn't allow us to perceive the truth, what really is. We only see what we want to see, we only hear what we want to hear. Our belief system is just like a mirror that only shows us what we believe. And we make it even more complicated because we think, and we believe in what we think. We make the assumption that what we believe is the absolute truth, and we never stop to consider that our truth is a relative truth. A virtual truth. Usually, it's not even close to any kind of truth, but it's the closest we can get without awareness. This takes us to the third agreement, don't make assumptions. Making assumptions is just looking for trouble, because most assumptions are not the truth, they're fiction. One big assumption we make is that everything in our virtual reality is the truth. Another big assumption we make is that everything in everyone else's virtual reality is the truth. We listen to the symbols talking in our head. We start imagining what other people are doing, what they're thinking, what they're saying about us, and we dream things up in our imagination. We invent a whole story that's only truth for us, but we believe it. One assumption leads to another assumption. We jump to conclusions, and we take our story very personally. Then we blame other people, and we usually start gossiping to try to justify our assumptions. Of course, by gossiping, a distorted message becomes even more distorted. Making assumptions and then taking them personally is the beginning of hell in this world. Almost all of our conflicts are based on this, and it's easy to understand why. Assumptions are nothing more than lies that we are telling ourselves. This creates a big drama for nothing, because we don't really know if something is true or not. Be aware that almost everything you tell yourself is an assumption. If not taking anything personally gives you immunity in the interaction that you have with other people, then not making assumptions gives you immunity in the interaction that you have with yourself, with your voice of knowledge, or what we call thinking. Making assumptions is all about thinking. We think too much, and thinking leads to assumptions. Just thinking what if can create a huge drama in our lives. Every human can think a lot, and thinking brings fear. We have no control over all that thinking, all those symbols that we distort in our head. If we just stop thinking, we no longer try to explain anything to ourselves, and this keeps us from making assumptions. Humans have a need to explain and justify everything. We have a need for knowledge, and we make assumptions to fulfill our need to know. We don't care whether the knowledge is true or not. There are so many things that the mind cannot explain. We have all these questions that need answers. But instead of asking questions when we don't know something, we make all sorts of assumptions. If we just ask questions, we won't have to make assumptions. It's always better to ask and be clear. If we don't make assumptions, we can focus our attention on the truth, not on what we think is the truth. Then we see life the way it is, not the way we want to see it.